I want to share with you all some quick updates regarding the July LSAT Flex. Some of you may have seen and heard that there were a handful of July LSAT Flex scores that were lost by LSAC. I put out a YouTube video about this. I put out a podcast about this. I actually put out a few videos about this because I thought it was important enough to call attention to. ProctorU was transmitting a handful of July LSAT Flex scores to LSAC. Approximately 1% of those July LSAT Flex scores, approximately 120 of them, were lost. The data transmission, there was some sort of issue where a lot of data was corrupted. Later, LSAC was able to recover some of the data, but for those 1% of people, those 120 people, it was obviously a big problem, a lot of stress for them, not a whole lot they could have done in advance about it. LSAC could have communicated better about it, of course, but it is what it is. I'm sure that they will do whatever they can to ensure that this does not happen again. Now, what I really want to call your attention to, though, is that for a small number of those people whose scores were lost, their scores came back much lower than they expected. There were people who were testing in the 160s and the 170s whose scores came back in the 120s and 130s. It was as if an entire section or two or even three, the results were just lost altogether. Obviously, this is completely unacceptable and nobody would ever want this to happen to them. So why am I telling you this other than just to scare you and keep you up at night? The reason I'm telling you is that although I think this is highly unlikely this will ever happen again, and certainly highly unlikely it would happen to any of you in particular, I want you to think about what you could do if you were in that situation, because what I find too often is that students don't feel comfortable advocating for themselves, especially with a big bureaucracy like LSAC. So I would want you to obviously let me know if this happened to you, and I would do whatever I could on my end to advocate for you, but I'd also want you to be calling them every single day. I would also want you to, in advance of this, have some sort of documentation about where you are scoring now in the lead up to your LSAT. So let's say you're taking practice tests on Law Hub or on Khan Academy or even out of books. Could you track your results in a spreadsheet or even in a Word document or a Google Doc where you could show, okay, on August 4th, I got this practice test score. On August 11th, I got this score. So you have a track record showing your scores were in the 150s or the 160s or the 170s. So if your score came back as a 120 or 130, you would have some documented evidence to go to LSAC and say, none of my scores were anywhere close to this score in the 120s or in the 130s. Obviously, something went wrong. It's one thing if you just say it to them, but if you can actually show that you have a track record of getting significantly higher results, it would help your case so that LSAC would maybe be more likely to cancel your score if they lost the data somehow. Again, I don't think this is at all likely. I think this is a less than 1% chance for it to happen to anybody, but obviously the ramifications would be severe. So I just want you to have some sort of plan of attack, something you could do now so that if this ever happened, you would at least be better prepared. So again, tracking your scores, spreadsheets, maybe taking screenshots of things in Khan Academy, Law Hub, wherever else. And then you could simply ask for your score to be canceled if it came back that much lower. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.